Hello everybody, this will be, today I'm going to do like a couple of little videos along with the teaching one. This one is going to just be like a foreign policy thing. I want you to see how we manipulate. I just read this article, I'm reading the paper. Russia sends signals of fighting ISIS. And who's this by? The Associated Press. This is. I just want you to see manipulation in media. There's a tragedy going on in Syria, and of course, most of you should be familiar that Bashar Assad, the leader of Syria, Hillary Clinton once referred to him as a great reformer, and he's an eye doctor trained in the U.S., and people thought he would be, a good man. And for various reasons, I won't do it all, we decided the next best thing, he must go. He must go. So, we've created a vacuum there in the sense of backing his ouster. It's been going on for years now. And this is the main cause that Europeans now have this migration crisis that I've been speaking about, and it's destabilized everything over there. And the U.S.'s plan, which we have no plan in anything we're doing in that part of the world, but it's just destabilized. So Russia and China are no way. They've decided, because of various other things in Ukraine, moves that China has done in the China Sea, they've just decided they're going to be sort of an alliance, and they're going to do what's to their own benefit. And I don't see that necessarily as real bad or wrong. So anyway, after this disaster's going on over there for many years, and our policy is totally in shambles, Russia, this article said Russia is beginning to do a military buildup within Syria. Sort of like that's suspicious. Russia has been a supporter of Syria, Bashar Assad, just like we were for years. And then when we go into these foreign things, we usually try to get the backing of various people. And of course, Russia now, we're back to the Cold War with Russia. They've just decided, look, the U.S., you have come in, and there are things we have done that have been underhanded. I've mentioned a lot of this before about we've had certain agreements with Russia that when the Soviet Union broke up, we would never try to get Ukraine into NATO because Russia has a naval base right there. I think it's the Black Sea, right off of the coast of Ukraine, and that used to be part of the Soviet Union. So we kind of made deals, not in writing. And then we changed that. We started trying to get Ukraine into NATO, which would have been like us allowing Russia to build a nuclear country right off of our border, which we would never allow. But we went back on our word. So that Russia just decided we're going to do what we want to do. You guys are making a disaster over here. And this is just off the cuff. But in the article it talks about Putin, and they're trying to make it look like for our consumption. It says Putin might be doing this sort of like in a way to get back into the good graces of the West. Maybe Putin thinks if he helps us, that maybe we won't be so mean to him. It's not that. It's a disaster, and our plan has not worked. Whatever plan we supposedly have. So Putin's going in, and he's going to back up Assad because he's been an ally, and he has supported him. And he's going to go in and fight ISIS. And then the articles, Kerry talked to him and gave a warning it might. That's all for public consumption. Russia's going to go in and say, you guys have a disaster. The Europeans are not able to deal with it. He's going to do something himself. That's what that is. But this article made it sound like the average person who's reading it, wow, look at that. Putin he's trying to butter up to the United States and to the West. That's not what he's trying to do, or they wouldn't have had the nuclear sub that we just spotted off of our coast the other day. This is just a little, it's a world affairs thing, I understand that. But it shows you manipulation. You know, propaganda we use in order to sway public opinion. That's what we do. And you see that, and this is, I think, an AP article I mentioned right after the unemployment rate was announced, which was low. I wrote a little note about that. I didn't get the chance to talk about it on the other video. But when the unemployment rate was announced, the jobs were 170,000 created, which were a lot lower, but yet the unemployment rate surprisingly went down. It's supposed to go up. If you're under about 220,000, you need that many for the unemployment rate to go up, which would be good for everybody. But it went, or for the unemployment rate to go down, which means that's good, you need to create more than 200,000 jobs in that reporting period. And estimates were it was going to be 218,000, but it was 170-something thousand, which is bad, which is not good. But yet, they still showed the unemployment rate going down. That's a manipulation. And as soon as I was done making that video talking about it, NPR News, which is liberal bias, I listen to them all, NPR said, next reporting period, next time numbers come in, it's estimated it's going to be higher than it's been in many, many. You're going to have, the market's going to continue to go down, and you're going to have very bad numbers by the end of this year. And you're going to have some catastrophes. When I see these media things and those manipulations, it does upset me. Say, John, a lot of things upset you. But that upsets me because they played in a way that they presume that we're ignorant, the U.S. Today, this is the third one for today. I'm just going to put these together with the teaching post. I did take Pops. I went over. I was by the courthouse. Pops lives in that area. I was thinking I was going to do a video. They got the Ten Commandments posted in front of the courthouse. The basis of law. You shall not bear false witness. And many of the stories you've seen me talk about, issues, are based upon false witness, false testimony. The foundation, and not just personal stuff, but the foundation of law has been really eroded in the country. It has been. And I understand that they just let that county clerk out of jail, Kim Davis. It was Kentucky, I believe, because she didn't want to issue the marriage license. Look, I'm not agreeing with her position, but I will say when they put her in jail, they put her in jail without bail. You know, the most horrendous murderers they get bail. To me, it just didn't sound right. And I tried to explain, they put that lady in jail because she refused to issue the marriage licenses. You know, when I was at the fire department, one year they were going to change all the procedures on, this technical firemen would know, but you do forward lay, reverse lay, when you go to fires, how you provide water from the fire hydrant to the truck, and pumper, booster truck, all this. But we had this older system, and there was a new advanced system where you use 5-inch hose as supply line instead of old 2.5-inch hose, which you don't get as much water, or 3-inch hose. So it was a way to update. So we thought, oh well, the other departments are upgrading, let's do it. So but they made the change overnight. They said, this is what we're going to do. And I was the senior engineer driver at the time for many years because I got that position very young. And I remember I told the captain, who I mentioned the other day, Al Lopez was my captain. I said, and I told all the other guys, I said, you got all these new drivers operating the trucks. You're starting this whole thing, and you don't even have the equipment. You needed a special adapter for the fire truck in order for that. They got all the new hose. They got everything. Okay, let's implement it starting tonight. I said, you don't even have the adapter to hook up to the truck. And you got these new guys going out, and it's a whole new procedure. They're going to wind up dropping that. Now, I knew what I had to do. I knew that if we did it, there was a certain procedure, but nobody else knew because they didn't know. Even the people in charge that were making the change, they were not familiar. But I told my captain, I said, Al, I'm telling you, you need to get this other thing. You guys are implementing all this overnight with all these new drivers. And they ordered it. They ordered that part. Al knew. I knew what I was talking about. And I mentioned that to say, in this Kim Davis thing, when the Supreme Court says we're going to decide, which was the big decision, I'm not anti-gay, okay? But when the Supreme Court decided it, they said, okay, that's it. You know, there's actual laws, the actual forms in states and counties all across the United States. And I saw it like that. Like you thought, okay, we're just going to go ahead and change it all overnight. There are some laws in some states that it goes against the actual law of the state. And I do understand that the Supreme Court supposedly interprets the Constitution and finds certain things. But because it was, even Chief Justice Roberts, who a lot of people don't like, he was dissenting in that vote, but he's got a lot of conservatives mad because of certain things. But even he said, you know, you got this issue. There were states that voted, whether you agree or disagree, there were states with high votes that said, no, we don't want to do gay marriage in our states. And when the court came in and said, now you can do it overnight, it's like that changing those fire hoses. There's more to that than just saying, now we're going to change it overnight. And I believe today that Kim Davis was released from jail. But it makes me wonder about a lot of things when I see a lot of that. And how the law, the weight of the law came against that woman. And I don't want to get... This was just political because I saw that. I just saw that article. And I wanted to give you a feel of those things. Today was a good day. Spent some time with Pops, helping Pops out. And I wanted you to see the seriousness of, we live in a day where people think, well, I can get away with a certain thing. Nobody gets away with anything. Everybody comes under judgment. And no one is above that. But when you manipulate things, that article upset me because it was a manipulation. Russia is not putting troops there to butter up to the West. And John Kerry and the U.S. did not go in with a strong arm and warn Putin. They've been warning us. That's really what's going on. We've backed down multiple times when China challenged us. This didn't get a whole lot of reporting in the news. But when China first unilaterally extended its sea space there in the China Sea, they sent out, we went in with some of our naval ships, and they played chicken with us. And we turned. This was a while back, just months ago. And we turned. They were basically saying, we'll go to war with you over this. And then after we turned, instead of the media saying how we backed down, we put out a message and said, be careful in those waters, we don't want an accidental wreck. That was us backing down. So China and Russia are not trying to butter up to the West. Russia is making this decision because it's a disaster over there. And that's what you're seeing in the news, all the migration, they're coming out of Syria. And our plan is no plan. And Russia is going to help Assad fight ISIL and ISIS, not because they're buttering up to us, but because we have no answer to any of the things that we're doing over there. And that's why. So, we got a little bit of stuff today. It's an extra one.